This is called the terrarium, or terrarium. I don't quite know how to pronounce it. Sarah had a large conservatory at the back of her house. She was fond of growing exotic plants there, orchids, strelitza, palms, but what she really wanted was a terrarium. She read up about it and found out that a Victorian botanist called Nathaniel Bagshaw Ward had discovered a fern growing in a stoppered jar that he had been using as a breeding house for a chrysalis. Now, he was fond of ferns, those monarchs of the Shadowlands, and his darlings had come to grief through the black smog of the city. When he saw the feathery fronds push up through the moss in the protected air, he knew he was onto something, and 1,000 tiny greenhouses were born. Ah, Sarah thought, perhaps people as well as plants could be improved by a spell in a terrarium. A friend had made a photo of her that was hideous. Her wrinkled eyes were in sharp focus, and her habitually sardonic expression looked sinister. That photograph might do. Let's see what a spell in the bell jar will achieve, she thought. I might look better after that. She bought a large terrarium, put fertile soil in and lots of moss. She buried the photo and also a tiny doll, about 2 inches high. She watered it with rainwater and put a large cork in the neck of the bottle and settled back to wait. As photosynthesis progressed apace, and as the moss grew, water ran down the inside flanks of the huge bottle. No winds in there, no nasty bacteria, no noise, no fuss. Pretty soon, everything stirred in the undergrowth. Sarah looked closely. It was a tiny blonde head, and it had the face of her photograph. It was her own self and growing fast, and it had a very knowing smile. Every now and then, Sarah took the cork off. It made a moist and she recoiled at the smell which arose from the terrarium. It was like blood and something else. She always replaced the cork quickly, but she was transfixed by the rate of growth engendered in the glass world. It was a miniature jungle. The tiny Sarah inside there grew rapidly, 2, 3, 4 weeks, and she half filled the bottle. Every time the cork was retrieved, a piercing scream rent the air, and the voice was just like Big Sarah's. "Let me out! Let me out!" The little face, so like her own, but now contorted with rage, was pressed against the glass. Finally, one night, Sarah was wakened by the sound of breaking glass. She ran down and saw that the terrarium had shattered into 1,000 pieces. In the middle of the mess sat little Sarah, now half her own size, cleaning her long nails with a sharp knife and eating everything within reach. "I love mince pies," she said, with her mouth full, "and sausages and Maltesers and Stilton cheese and homemade jam." As Sarah watched in horrified fascination, the little one doubled in size so that she was as big as her, though a tad younger. "Well, what are you going to do about it?" were the last words that Sarah heard. Then she felt a dull thump on her head. When she woke up, she seemed to have shrunk in size, and she was inside an enormous glass bottle. There was water running down the inside, but through the mist she ascertained the other one, outside with a mallet in her hand, trying on Sarah's clothes, pulling pages out of her books, eating condensed milk out of a tin with a spoon, gurning at the captive inside the terrarium. "That'll learn you," she squealed ungrammatically. "Now, how do you like it? Photosynthesis sucks." And there were, Sarah thought ruefully, some things to agree with in that. It's a little story about things going wrong for Sarah, as they often do, and about there being another Sarah hidden away, which she wasn't aware of, which often happens. And of course, it's full of an awareness of the past, because the terrarium is steeped in history as an object. It's a big glass bottle where you can grow things.